Good morning. This is Rob from GRAF, and this week we continue talking to Peter McSparren. This week we discussed the figure of $5,000. That's the figure as labeled as the point at which, once a household has that income, they start to adopt a so-called Western diet. That's a diet that involves more protein, dairy, and meat. We discuss whether Africans will adopt that diet as they join the middle classes and pass that figure of $5,000 household income.
Talking about culture, I mean, even in Europe, like Africa, is made up of many different countries and slightly different cultures, but they all seem to adopt a Western lifestyle, a Western diet. Is that, and people suggest that when someone gets up to a certain income level, they adopt a Westernized diet. Is that going to be the same in Africa, or is every country going to follow that Westernized diet and culture?
Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt about that. I mean, the staple diet from the part of Africa I come from is maize meal, and it will always remain the staple diet. But I remember I was thinking when fast food finally came to Africa in the late 80s, early 90s, and I thought, well, these people eat sadza, which is a meal porridge, and eat mostly vegetables, but either a fish gravy or a meat gravy. But the staple diet was maize meal, and we called it sadza, and different names throughout Africa. I said, those takeaways will never prosper because that's not the traditional diet. Well, takeaway food, I could not believe how many outlets, and they could not saturate the market in Harare alone. And then that's when I realized we're living in cloud cuckoo land. We think that's a traditional food and that's what the people stick to. It wasn't true at all. And I remember in the pork, in Rhodesia, the pork industry was basically for mainly the white population. They said, it's not a traditional food, pork. And Colcom, which was the pork, not only the producing co-op, but also the marketing co-op. I think once again in the late 80s, they said, well, let's try entering the low value market with a thing called pork chop, where you saw every cut. And it became a market leader. They couldn't keep up with offtake of pork. But they said we'd never sell pork because it wasn't a traditional food.
Yeah.
So I think don't underestimate. I think they will change their eating habits, but only obviously when they can afford it. But once they can afford it, if the choice is there, they will move to Western food, what we consider Western foods.
Yeah.